You were born Carlos Ray in Ryan, Oklahoma, and you wanted to be a police officer when you grew up. You must be very disappointed that you haven't fulfilled all your dreams.
Yes, I'd be retiring right now.
That's right. And instead, you're really just starting.
Now I'm just starting to work. Yes, exactly.
Is it true you've never been in a real-life fight?
Not
Kind
really.
of a shy, quiet. I mean, you have a wonderful personality. You're fun to talk to.
Thank
Quite
you.
handsome.
Thank you.
But you're not that rough and tough guy that goes in and wants to blow the place apart.
Now, most of you guys that are really, like you say, the top-notch fighters are very quiet type individuals, because when you walk around with that type of an attitude, it's generally from an insecurity anyway. When you try to display a tough guy role, I don't try to do that in my films either. One time, when I'm not traveling around, I'll go into one of the karate schools and I'll teach, because I miss teaching. And one time I was teaching a class for this instructor, and a guy walked in. And when he walked in, it was like an air of animosity just kind of flowed into the studio. And I looked around, and I saw him staring right at me, and he had hostility in his eyes. So I walked around and I said, "Hi, my name is Chuck Norris." I stuck my hand out. So, you know, so he shakes my hand. I said, "You know, I'm teaching right now, but I said, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them after the class." So I went back and finished the class. I went back and I sat down and I started talking to the guy. And as we're talking, I feel the air of animosity slowly evaporating. And I was waiting for him to say what the reason was. Finally, he said, "You know," he said, "I thought you'd really be a wise guy." He said, "I'm really glad to see you're kind of down to earth, you know."
Down to earth almost understates Chuck's good-hearted nature. It's not unusual to see him just hanging out at his wife Diane's restaurant in Newport Beach, California. Her business is almost as successful as their marriage.
Hollywood isn't always the kindest place to keep a family together. How do you think you and Diane have managed to stay together for 27 years?
I think that, well, she travels with me. You know, if you go separate ways, then, you know, something's going to happen. But she travels with me to my locations, and she's on location most of the time. So we don't separate for any extended period of time.
Who runs the restaurant when she's gone?
Well, luckily now, we've had the restaurant now for 2.5 years, so now she doesn't have to be there all the time. And when we first opened the restaurant, she was there a lot. But her brother helps her run the restaurant, so she could take off for 3 or 4 days, fly down to my location, visit, and then fly back.
She's the one person who can keep you in line.
Yeah.
Do you really have her name tattooed on your arm? How old were you when you had that done?
17.
Oh, no, wait, I'll have to see this close-up.
Yeah, they...
Thank God you married her.
I know.
What would you have done?
There aren't many Dianes with 2 N's in the name. Well, you know what happened? I was in high school, and I just started dating her about 3 or 4 months.
3 months and you did that?
Yes, and so me and a bunch of buddies are out at a place called the Pike in Long Beach that was there at the time. And we're drinking beer, having a good time, and we were trying to decide what to do. And one of them said, "Well, why don't we, if we see a tattoo shop?" So a guy says, "Let's get a tattoo." So we walk over, and, you know, we're young guys, you know, young kids. And so we walk in there, and the guy says, "Well, which one's first?" So we all look at each other, and I go, "I'll go." So I go sit down, and he says, "Well, what do you want?" I go, "I don't know." He says, "Well, you got to have a name or something to put on here." I said, "Well, how about my girlfriend's name?" He said, "Okay." So anyway, he shaves the hair on my arm and puts the tattoo on there, and blood is flowing all over the place. And I get the tattoo, and I can't believe my eyes. You know, it sobered me up real fast. And I'm looking at the tattoo, and everyone looks at it and says, "We're not going to do that." So no one else got a tattoo but me.
Oh, gosh.
So
Well, when she
there.
saw that, did you have to propose that night?
No, I didn't propose then. We just started dating about 3 months. We went together for almost 2 years. And she was 15 when I started dating her. I was 16 at this time. And then I married her when she was 1 month 17.
Chuck, I think you're a man who always knows what he wants and knows how to go after it. One more real important question. You still hooked on Snickers bars?
Yes, I am. That is my one weakness is Snickers bars.
I got one for you.
Do you?
All right.
You're all,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
spending some
Thank
time
you,
with
Cynthia.
us.